Hi budget babes, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here or returning, it is Julia Creations and I'm back with another example, you guys, and I'm so excited to do this budget. Today we're going to be doing a weekly / bi-weekly budget for the first half of May. The first half of May, the first half of April to May. I'm not editing that out, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to roll. So we're gonna be doing one of my clients' budgets here. Her goal is to just get better with budgeting. She does have some small debt that she eventually wants to get paid off, but right now she doesn't know when she has a cash surplus or when she can see money to start building her savings and all of that good stuff. So we're gonna go through and set her up a budget to get that taken care of. So first we're gonna start with the monthly budget just to see the overview, and then we're gonna go through and break this down to a bi-weekly budget. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, all the products that we're using can be found at juliacreations.com, and let's get straight into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is write down the monthly income after tax. So we're going to go ahead and write in both of her paydays here. So we have 4/26 when we'll get paid, and we'll also get paid 5/10, and this is basically how her pay periods are. So we're going to go ahead and write 1368. This is going to be paycheck number 1. Then we have paycheck number 2, which is going to also be 1368 as well. And now we're going to multiply that by 2 to say the monthly income. So 1368 times 2 is going to give us a total of 2736. So our monthly income that we're bringing in each month is going to be 2736. So now we're going to talk about two different type of expenses: fixed expenses versus variable expenses. So fixed are going to be our expenses that are usually the same every month, which is going to be our rent, mortgage, phone bills, car insurance, car payments, utilities. We're going to put how much we average. And our variables are going to be our expenses that vary each month: groceries, gas, eating out, personal care, entertainment, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in, and then we'll go over it. Alright you guys, so now that we went and wrote down all of her expenses, we're going to see what this totals for the month and find our cash surplus. So 875 plus 167 plus 280 plus 75 is going to total us to 1397 for our fix. Then we're going to go ahead and add up our variables: 24 plus 81 plus 101 plus 22 plus 68 plus 68 plus 300 plus 120 plus 50 plus 60 is going to be 894. So 894 plus 1397 is going to give us 2291. So at 2291, we're going to go ahead and find our cash surplus, which is going to be 2736 minus 2291. So this is how we would set up a monthly budget to see how much we have left over after bills and expenses. In this case, we average about $445 left over after bills and expenses. Alright you guys, so once we break it down from a monthly budget, we can break it down to a weekly / bi-weekly budget. So on her pay periods, technically she will basically be paid bi-weekly. So we're gonna go ahead and fill in our weeks here. So we have April 14th to April 21st, and we have 0 income coming in. Then we have April 22nd to April 28th, which we have $13.68. So guys, when we're going in and we're setting up a bi-weekly budget, we write down the weeks as if they are coming out. So the weeks of when our payday is. So payday would technically be on the 26th. But we want to make sure we cover any bills that come through within this time frame, and that's why we break it down by putting the week of April 22nd to April 28th, because we want to make sure this check covers everything within that time frame. Because the next week that's coming up will be April 29th to May 5th, and we will not be getting paid again. So this week we'll have no income coming in, but this check from this payday will also need to cover any bills that come in as well during this pay period. So we're gonna go ahead and break this down to a bi-weekly budget. All right, so her last paycheck was April 12th. This is the last time she got paid. So this last check that came through for April, she would have had to cover her car insurance. Would have to come out that check because the car insurance comes out of the 15th of every single month. So car insurance would have needed to be covered with that check. Also the consumer energy. So I'm going to go ahead and just write this here, and we're going to write a line on which paycheck that came out with. And then she also has a Capital One credit card that will come out with $41, and a Costco credit card that comes out around that time frame as well, which is $40. So this is her previous check, guys. So she has no income coming in with this check. So this check that came out on the 12th would have had to cover everything that would have came out around this time frame. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the next week, April 22nd to April 28th. It's almost about to be the first of the month again, so we're already for sure going to cover our rent payment. We have rent here, which totals to $875. So what she said she did from her last check from April 12th, she covered half of her rent as well. So she splits her rent into payments. So $875 divided by 2 would technically be $438 that came out. So on the first of the month, when this week is coming up, we would have to pay $438 again to cover the rent. Sorry guys, that's a 4. It's kind of hard to see. But $438 would come out from the rent. Now let's go ahead and look at our budget here again. So we'll have some Klarna that will come out, which will be $71. And then we'll also have subscriptions that come out this week, which will total to $13. And then we'll also have gas again. Our gas budget is $120, but we roughly spend about $40 per week. So we're gonna act like we don't know about this week that happened before, because this was already before I started working on her budget. So that's the stuff she's already covered. So we wanna start figuring out how we're gonna end April and start May and have her a set budget. So we know we have to spend gas, and we know we need groceries again. Groceries, she spends about $150 every 2 weeks. So we'll put our groceries in there. And then we'll also have some Sizzle payments, which we can see from here. We have Sizzle that comes out, which would be $22 and $68. We already paid, or we'll have to pay this first too. So 22 plus 68 would total us to $90 for the first week of May coming up, because we're looking at April 22nd all the way to May 5th technically, because we don't get paid this week. So we'll also put our self-care in here. She says she gives herself $25 a week for self-care. All right, so now all of that is in the budget here. Sorry guys if the camera looks a little fuzzy. I don't know what's been going on with this camera. Even when I was recording, it was fuzzy last time. Okay, guys, so where I start to notice a problem within this budget is usually around that first week that comes up. She has a lot of things that come out. So we're looking at April 22nd to April 28th, April 29th to May 5th. So she technically will not get paid again until the week of May 6th to May 12th. And the payday here will be the 10th of May. We'll just put this over here because I know sometimes your dads get confused. Will be the 10th of May. And then the next week that coming up will be May 13th to May 19th here. And then May 20th to May 26th. So this is when the next paycheck will come out. So this will be May 6th to the 12th. So why don't we look at our previous check that we just spent here, which was our rent for $438. I'm just going to cross this out so you guys can see it better. Rent, which is $438. We have our Klarna that comes out, our subscriptions, our gas, our groceries, our sizzle, and our self-care. So our car insurance doesn't come out again till May. We had to finish our April car insurance, so that's what's showing up here. But our other car insurance wouldn't come out to the 15th of May. So instead of having maybe all of those bills at once here, why don't we go ahead and get ahead? So the car insurance and the consumer energy wouldn't come out to this week. We don't have a paycheck that comes out this week. So why don't we just go ahead and get ahead of the game? Instead of having to put our car insurance, our consumer energy all on one check, why don't we put it here so we're already ahead? So this way our car insurance would come out this check, which would be $280. And then we'll also pay our energy, which will be $75. And the reason why we're going to break down the budget and do it this way instead is she always stresses that she's going paycheck to paycheck and having to cover all her bills. So why don't we just get ahead on this? So if we pay our car insurance and we pay our consumer energy before the pay period, already basically the first week of May, because the first week of May we don't get paid, and we've already covered some expenses from the second week, we'll be good to go. So let's add this up and see what it totals for this week when our expenses total up. So 438 plus 280 plus 75 would total our fixed expenses to $793. Then we're going to go ahead and add up our variables. 71 plus 13 plus 40 plus 150 plus 90 plus 25 would total our variable expenses to, let's see here, our variable expenses would total to $289. Hold on, am I missing something here? I feel like I added too much on this one. No, I think that's right, right? Yeah, $389. Okay, I thought I missed a number. All right, so $389 plus $793 would total us to $1182 in expenses. But now we're already covered for our expenses for this next following 2 weeks of May. So we've already covered our fix that will be coming up in May. So now we can go ahead and find our cash surplus, which is going to be the money we have left over after our check. So $1368 minus $1182. Let's go ahead and figure out what that's going to be. $1368 minus $1182 is going to total to $186. That will go in our savings. So not only did we cover our bills pre-ahead, so we're not going to be stressed out, and we finished paying off our rent from our previous check. We're going to keep splitting the rent payments, but we're going to talk about that on the other side of the sheet here when we get to the next week. So now we're already ahead of the game, April 29th to May 5th. We don't have any bills that's coming out because we already covered those. So for example, we covered both of these sizzle payments, so we don't have to worry about those. And then we also covered our credit cards. Our credit card minimums came out with that previous week here. Let me write down the credit card dates so you guys know what dates the credit cards come out and it won't be confusing. So one credit card comes out on the 15th of each month, and then the other credit card comes out on the 19th of each month. So we'll worry about those credit cards. Oopsie, I meant to put that on the credit card section, you guys. We'll worry about those credit cards on the next page here. Alright, you guys, so now when we get to this next week, May 6th to the 12th, we'll get paid again. So let's look at what bills and expenses we have due. So let's start with our fixed expenses here. So we have no bills that would come out May 6th to the 12th because we've already paid those. So car insurance is already ahead of the game, and our consumer energy, and then our rent, of course, is already paid for May. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to pay our phone bill, which isn't due to the 27th of May, but we're going to go ahead and get that paid early so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to go ahead and put T-Mobile, which is $167. And then let's go back and look at our budget here. We also will have our credit card minimums coming up, which would be $81. So we're going to put our credit cards. And then all our variables are going to repeat from the previous week. So let's go ahead and look at our variables. Except for Klarna, we don't have any Klarna payments coming out, but we will have additional Sizzle payment coming out. So we're going to go ahead and write our Sizzle, which is $68, and we can see that on our variable side what day that comes out, which is going to be $68. So we want to make sure we cover that. So we covered both of our credit cards, we covered our Sizzle payment, and then we also will need to fill up our gas tank again, which is going to be $40. And let's see what else we have here. We'll also need groceries again, which is going to be $150. All right, and then we also will do some eating out again. Last week we spent, when we got paid, we didn't do any eating out from our last paycheck. So why don't we go ahead and take $30 for eating out? We have a budget of $60 per month for eating out, and we didn't do any eating out last week. So let's go ahead and put that in our paycheck. And then let's go ahead and get some self-care again for $25. We have a budget of $50 per month, and we usually spend $25 per paycheck there. So rent won't come out again until we'll get paid this week, and this will be the check that will cover our rent. But why don't we go ahead and get half of our rent put aside with this check, so we won't have to use a full check to pay rent that will come up May 20th to May 26th, because the next following week after that, we wouldn't get paid that first week of June until the second week of June. So why don't we go ahead and put half of our money aside for rent this week, and then finish our rent, the whole half, again this week. So just how we did on our previous budget, we're splitting our rent payments in half, so that way we won't have to take a full $800 from our check to cover rent and feel tight till we get paid again. So we have $167 plus $438, which is going to total to $605. And then we have 81 plus 68 plus 40 plus 150 plus 30 plus 25 is going to be $394. $394 plus 605 is going to total our expenses to $999. So now we're going to go ahead and find our cash surplus, which is going to be $1,368 minus $999. $1,368 minus $999 is going to total to $369. That will go in our savings. Boom. And just like that, we've already covered one of her fears that she said she had when it came to budgeting, was always feeling like she was going to be behind. So not only did we cover all of her bills ahead before they even come out, we also got her a few weeks ahead. So technically her phone bill wouldn't even came out to May 27th, but we've already covered it with this check, and we also covered both of her credit card payments as well as the last sizzle payment, and then we still incorporated her variable expenses in there, and we're able to build our savings. So we're gonna go ahead and put our $369 in our savings, and then we're gonna go ahead and check out our monthly cash surplus. So our monthly cash surplus should be $445. The end of May technically isn't over yet, but we had a mixture of April and May in here, so we're gonna go ahead and add up our cash surplus. So the first week of May 22nd or April 22nd to April 28th, we were able to save $186. The next week that came up, which will be basically the May check, we'll be saving $369. So technically our cash surplus for the month averages to $555. How we got that number is we basically added up the two checks that we would have got for the month. So I don't know how much she had left over from her previous check, but we're supposed to be saving about $445 per month after we did the weekly / bi-weekly budget, and we broke it down. Sorry you guys, I always try to speak too quick. We broke it down. We had $186 that we're going to save this check, and $369 that we're going to save the next check. So we have reached our cash surplus based off this budget that we set up, but we're going to go ahead and see what this second week of May or third week of May would consist of, and let's see how our cash surplus will look in this time frame. All right, you guys, when we get to this next following week here, we'll have our rent that comes out, and we'll get paid again $13.68. And then we're going to do the same thing we did on our budget here in April. You see April 22nd to April 28th will be basically identical to May 20 to May 26 because her pay period and her bills are still going to constantly come out the same dates. So what we're going to do this May 20 to this May 26, we're technically going to copy everything that's on here. So we're going to go ahead and get ahead on her car insurance like we did before. So the car insurance is $280. The car insurance doesn't come out until the 15th of each month, but we're already going to be ahead for June. The first week of June, we don't get a paycheck, but the second week of June, we get a paycheck, but we'll already be ahead. So June insurance will already be taken care of, and we're also going to take care of our consumer energy as well. So basically it's going to be a replica. When you're doing bi-weekly budgets, you're going to start to realize that the budget's going to be identical from the previous budget or the week pay period, because you still get paid usually around the same time every single month, and those bills are usually the same. What I like about when I set up you guys' budgets, you're now ahead of the game. So she's technically a week ahead on every single expense just because she set it up a budget. So now when those weeks come up, she doesn't have to stress. She's already pre-prepared. That's why it's so important to set up weekly / bi-weekly budget so you can see how you can set yourself up for success. So we're going to do the same thing again, but this time we won't have any Klarna payments and we won't have any Sizzle payments, so we're going to be able to add that additional money back into our pockets. So $71 plus $90 will now be added to our cash surplus because those payments are now removed from our budget. So what we're going to go ahead and do is write down everything else but that. We'll have subscriptions coming out again for $13. We'll also have gas again because we get our gas tank filled, which is going to be $40. Our groceries for $150 again. And then we'll also have our self-care for $25. And is there anything that we're missing from this budget? Nope. Sizzle's gone and Klarna's gone, and we still got everything on our variables that match. So subscriptions 13 plus 40 plus 150 plus 25 is going to be $228. $793 plus 228 is going to total to $10.21. We're going to go ahead and find our cash surplus, which is going to be $13.68, which is our income minus our total of expenses. $13.68 minus $10.21 is going to be $347 left over that will go in our savings. And just like that, we increased our cash surplus because we got some of our Klarna payments paid off and we stick to our budget. So you guys, I'm going to do an overview one more time of what we just did here. So let's hang in there. Alright you guys, so what we did was super simple. All we did was set up a monthly budget to see an overview. So we went through and we wrote in everything that's coming in for the month and what's coming out. And basically we set up a budget. Once we found out how much our expenses totaled for the month, we found our cash surplus. Our cash surplus is going to be the money we have left over after our bills and expenses. How we get this? We take our full monthly income minus our total of expenses. After we did the monthly budget, we broke it down to a bi-weekly budget based off our pay periods. So we decided which check is going to cover each bill and how much we're going to be saving out of each check. So we went through and looked at the dates our bills come out and we compared it to the week of our paychecks. So we did that for the next 3 following pay periods. Once we did that, we were able to see how much money we would have in our savings and how much money we'll be able to put up each month and which bill would cover everything. With us doing this budget this way, we were able to bring all our bills a cycle ahead, which got us prepared for anything that comes our way. This is how we set up a weekly/bi-weekly budget. I hope this budget was helpful to anyone watching. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down below in the description. Thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe and pick up some new budget products at JuliaCreations.com. Bye.